Maksim Novoselov was condemned to execution for a double homicide. But a moratorium on the death penalty allowed him to regain freedom and start breaking people legally. For his brutal skills in dismantling opponents in the ring, he earned the nickname Wild Max, symbolizing his ferocity, untamed strength, and unpredictability in combat. His unhealthy obsessions, bordering on the macabre, led Maxim to the war in Ukraine, where he unleashed his cruelty without restraint, literally destroying anyone in his path. In this video, we introduce you to Russia's most unhinged and savage fighter. This is Boxing Game. Here we go. Maksim Novoselov was born in 1973 in the depths of rural Russia, where the only pastimes were drinking vodka and fighting bears. In this harsh environment, knowing how to fight wasn't a luxury, it was a survival skill. This reality led him to combat Sambo, where he trained alongside legendary Fedor Emelianenko. Later, Maxim was drafted into the army, finding himself thrust into the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict during his service. Returning from duty in the chaotic years following the Soviet Union's collapse, Novoselov faced unemployment and economic turmoil, which pushed him into the world of organized crime, a place where his combat skills proved invaluable. However, his criminal life reached a breaking point when he killed 2 people during a confrontation. For this, he was sentenced to death. Fortunately for him, a moratorium on capital punishment spared his life, reducing his sentence to 14 years in prison. Upon his release, Maksim Novoselov was willing to fight for a pack of cigarettes or a tracksuit, as he couldn't think of any better way to monetize his unique skills. Back when Maxim didn't yet resemble Shrek, he began his MMA career with a bang, effortlessly twisting his opponents' heads as if unscrewing the cap of a vodka bottle. In his fight against Dutchman Evert Fiet, Maxim showcased his full potential. He unleashed a relentless barrage of strikes, then slid behind his opponent with lightning speed and turned him into a literal Flying Dutchman. Evert, however, wasn't eager to take flight and tried to keep Maxim at bay, landing sharp low kicks to maintain distance. But Maxim skillfully mixed up his strikes, targeting different levels, and during one exchange, he found the off switch on Evert's jaw. Though dazed, Evert got back up and continued the fight. Apparently, his survival instincts had short-circuited. Maxim took full advantage, chasing the Dutchman around the ring with a flurry of strikes before locking in a guillotine choke that metaphorically tore Evert's head off. This brutal display earned him the nickname Wild Max. In 2012, Maksim Novoselov was sentenced to another 4 years in prison. Upon his release, now significantly heavier, Max returned to MMA, continuing to amaze spectators with his victories. Chasing big paychecks, he eagerly participated in every tournament offered to him. On one occasion, he fought 3 opponents in a single match, dispatching them one after another like cracking sunflower seeds. The next name on Wild Max's list was Jimmy Ambrick. In their fight, Max, determined not to waste extra calories, didn't even bother dodging incoming strikes. Jimmy eventually managed to take the giant down and rained a flurry of blows on him. Struggling to rise, Wild Max responded with an illegal headbutt that cracked Jimmy's skull, earning him a stern warning from the referee. After recovering, Jimmy once again pinned Max to the ground, refusing to let him stand. The fight turned into the fight for oxygen.
Несколько точных ударов от Андреса, сжимает канатом Новоселова, проходит удар справа.
And although Jimmy easily tossed Max to the ground, he tore a muscle in the process and could no longer continue the fight.
Порвана мышца у него, не может продолжать, что ему очень больно.
Wild Max's commanding charisma and equally impressive fighting style have made him one of the most recognizable figures in Russian MMA. Well into his 40s, Wild Max continued to entertain and astonish fans, stepping into the ring against Ivanvich. Having transformed into a bear-like figure, Max charged forward from the start, launching Ivan into the vast expanses of space. Taking on the role of a bald tooth fairy, he began a thorough inspection of Ivan's dental lineup before finishing the fight with a devastating armbar submission. His next opponent, Adnan Alich, was so massive he could have replaced Brendan Fraser in the film The Whale. In the fight, Wild Max lashed out with kicks like a whip. Chasing Adnan around the ring. Soon after dragging Adnan to the ground, Max finished him, piercing his opponent's body with harpoon-like strikes, fit for a true whaler.
Maksim Novoselov не переходит на бой.
Having conquered the world of MMA, Wild Max decided to expand his horizons, triumphantly storming into the world of boxing. His first target? Denis Vildanov, the only opponent in Max's career to surpass him in sheer size. It's worth noting that Vildanov, a participant in Russia's version of Power Slam, could reliably pass any doping test, though cholesterol levels might have been another story. The organizers faced their own battle, finding trunks big enough for these colossal fighters.
139 килограммов для Новоселова в качестве боксера. Он уже познал, что такое ринг.
Meanwhile, the audience speculated whether the ring would hold up under nearly half a ton of raw power, clashing in an epic showdown.
Разозлило явно.
Смотрите, что делает Денис.
И в этом, и в следующем раунде, если это заруба.
Wild Max soon pierced Denis's natural body armor with a relentless series of punches.
В общем-то, туловище пробил все-таки корпус.
Rising to his feet, Denis only fueled Max's fury.
Чем ответит Вильданов? Плотно попал.
Неприятный удар был.
With strikes as heavy as kilotons, Max overwhelmed his opponent, forcing him to surrender in exhaustion.
Попыток нанести.
Denis's submission not only saved himself, but also the audience, as the arena had become a vacuum. These two giants had practically drained all the oxygen in the room. The next challenge came in the form of his namesake, Maksim Sherbakov, known by the nickname Axe. However, Wild Max, if anyone, knew how to handle an axe and spin it however he pleased. Smaller but much quicker, Sherbakov immediately cranked the pace to its limit. Yet, with cold-blooded precision, Wild Max systematically dismantled Sherbakov's defense, breaking him down one floor at a time. Effortlessly closing the distance, Wild Max fed Sherbakov a steady diet of jabs before finally sending him crashing to the canvas. Another crushing victory was added to Wild Max's growing legacy. By the end of his career in 2022, Wild Max once again found himself behind bars, this time convicted of rape and sentenced to 5 years in a maximum security penal colony. However, not even halfway through his sentence, on May 8, 2024, Maksim was released under a system of penal labor and early release. Upon gaining his freedom, he voluntarily signed a contract with the Russian army. At 52 years old, he set off to legally put his deadly skills to use in war. It seems likely that the ring will never see Maksim again. Maksim Novoselov is a man with a complex fate. Having spent around 17 years in correctional facilities, he could have become a great fighter, comparable to Fedor Emelianenko himself, but fate had other plans. Share your thoughts about him in the comments. This was Boxing Game. See you soon.